ice, the mightiest tree in the forest. You can make all these and more with glyph magic. Welcome to day 3 of Lucy's Magic Bootcamp.
You are somebody, and I love that somebody very much. I'm sorry I lied about what I believed.
Sometimes I get wrapped up in my own thoughts too, but my dad's taught me a little trick to quiet the voices.
You know, you were right. We do have a lot in common. I grew up thinking that everything was an opportunity to justify existing. But there are people out there who won't make you feel worthless. You just have to let yourself meet them.
Oh, crikey.
But a great witch once told me something about punching fears in the face. What I'm trying to say is, don't give up so easily.
No te preocupes, todo va a salir bien. Like my mom always said.
Season 1 of The Owl House felt like a very fun dive into the mystical and creative world of the demon realm. We, the audience, followed Luce as she went on adventures all over the Boiling Isles, meeting new friends, and attending a very psychotic school for witches.
Help me!
Of course, there was an underlying plot throughout the season, Lilith trying to recruit Ida into the Emperor's Coven, the mystery of the curse, and Luce growing those friendships with Willow, Gus, and eventually Amity. Despite those storylines though, Season 1 definitely felt a lot more like your standard Adventure of the Week show. Not saying that's a bad thing, of course. The show's creativity, its characters, and its underlying mystery were all really strong and kept the show from growing stale for me. But going through Season 2, it didn't take long to notice that things were different, more focused and intense. We're still seeing new parts of the demon realm and meeting new people, but where Season 1's overarching story was very light, Season 2 is really focused on its overarching story. Things like Ida's curse, Hunter, the Day of Unity are things that are not only shown and mentioned many times, but it directly affects the actions of our characters. Whether it's through planning for the future, focusing on the past, or just trying to deal with the present, our cast is dealing with a lot of heavy things this season, which I mean, who doesn't love? We have, for starters, Luce trying to get home. This is her biggest story in the season. You always see the main character entering the fantasy world and enjoying it a lot more than their actual home, but it's always so interesting when the characters get homesick and just want the isekai to be over, or at least get a break. We see Luce going through homesickness that just gets worse and worse. She wants to go home, she wants to see her mom again, and we see how it drives her in multiple episodes. Even when she finally gets to talk to her mom again, which by the way only helped make the situation a lot more confusing for her.
No. When you come home, promise you'll stay here. Please.
Okay, Mom. I promise.
We still see the homesickness affect her, even more so honestly. She wrestles with what to do in the future. Hell, me, the viewer, is wrestling with what to do too. In a lot of my reactions, you see me trying to make suggestions on how she can be in the demon realm and also make her mom happy, cause I just really want this to work out for everyone. Luce's storyline is just very solid, it's relatable, it makes sense, and it really gives the character focus. Ida's also got some pretty interesting storylines this season. One with Rain and the other focusing on her curse. Last season, the curse really set Ida back power-wise. I mean, she was the most powerful wild magic user in the Isles last season, but that all supposedly ended when the curse completely corrupted her magic. Seeing a character so powerful fall is always entertaining because it really gives the character the chance to go on a journey and look into themselves, their fears, their past, so on and so forth, and in the end, change them, for better or for worse. I'll be completely honest, it didn't really feel like Ida losing her magic affected her that much. I mean, don't get me wrong, it set her back and made things harder. I was hoping this would have affected her more mentally and emotionally. Angst, basically. I was hoping for angst. Being humbled by the curse the way she was, I feel like there was an opportunity to focus on Ida's fears now that she was weaker. Maybe have her question who she is without her wild magic. Maybe even open up a chance for Lilith to develop more as well. Ida being stronger than her and her strong inferiority complex because of her sister's strength was a big part of her character and led to her cursing Ida in the first place. I wish we could have gotten more about that. Not to say the show doesn't mention Ida and Lilith's magic loss at all, but overall, I feel like Ida and Lilith were able to bounce back pretty quick after losing all that magic, and I was just hoping for more. Not to say Ida's time in season 2 is wasted, far from it. The show does a great job opening her up more. The relationship between her, Luz, and King, her children, has grown so much. In the second to last episode of season 1, we really saw how much Ida loves Luz and how much that kid changed her life. And I'm happy to see that this affection carried over in the next season. As opposed to just going back to business as usual, we see how Ida cares about her loved one's well-being, both physically and mentally, to the point where she wants to keep them out of the fight altogether. I love how she adopts King officially into the family, and I love how much she wants to keep that family. Seeing her show slight discomfort at the mention of Luz and King trying to get back to their respective birth families throughout the season, it just adds to that bittersweet feeling when we think about these two going home. This, by the way, this is the angst I was talking about. On top of that, I know I talked about how they could have done more with the curse this season, but that doesn't mean they didn't do anything. This season, we follow Ida and the curse itself throughout a journey of acceptance. The whole last season, we looked at Ida's curse as just torture for her and the people around her. And the season ended with the curse cutting our favorite OP witch off from her magic. I mean, when I started season 2, I kept asking myself, how are we going to beat this curse? How are we going to heal Ida? I mean, I was thinking a lot like Gwendolyn. So I was really surprised when they decided to go a completely different way. Seeing not only other people have to accept the curse, but Ida herself was very unexpected, but also very touching. I mean, yeah, the actual storyline was filled with magic and curses, but there was an underlying feeling of relatability in the curse story. I mean, everybody wants to accept themselves. It's hard, but it is something that people want. And that also includes parents as well. I mean, everyone wants their parents to accept them, every part of them. And once again, it's never too late to have this kind of storyline. You don't have to be a rebellious youth. You can be a rebellious 40, 50? You know what? I'm not gonna go there, but you get my point. And what came out of this storyline, can I just say, I approve. If Ida ever gets her magic back, I'd love to see her just let loose with a bunch of magic while in her harpy form. But even if that doesn't happen, I mean, she still has the glyphs, and also, I mean, just look at her. There are plenty of impressive physical moves they can have Ida do in that form. Finally, we have King. Now, poor King. I feel like this season, King's the ball, and the writers are just kicking him all around the playground. But I mean, this season did a good job having me sympathize for him. Season 1 King was just this adorable guy who'd have some sensitive moments here and there. I mean, I thought he was a fun character and I cared if something happened to him, but season 2 gave him a lot more. It gave him a story. I wanted King to be happy and find his family. I was damn near begging for it. So when Ida eventually adopted him, I was really happy. And when Ida's dad called him his grandson, I mean, I was just even more happy. I was ecstatic. Now that I'm done with the season, I see King in a new light now. And no, it's not because he has the potential to be a god. I'm not Lilith, but because he lost so much. And right now, he's in an extreme state of confusion. Season 2 really gave the mascot character a compelling and mysterious storyline, evolving him, even giving him a power of his own, instead of just making him get cute moments. I'm really interested to see what King's story is going to be in the specials. I just hope there's enough time for it. There really were a lot of storylines this season, some bigger than others. Hunter's was a very strong one, and you'd think it'd feel too similar to Lilith since he's a bad guy turned good, but both characters' paths were clearly set and very different from each other. And though I really enjoyed Hunter's playful attitude when he was a villain, seeing him learn how to separate himself from his uncle was very heartwarming, and seeing him make friends with not just Luz, but Gus and Willow was really nice to see. P.S. That boy's got some fucked up stuff going on in the background that I just hope gets the attention it deserves during the specials. Other mini storylines like Willow introducing the new her this season, Gus with his trusting issues, Amity with standing against her parents. I mean, do I wish these storylines had more time? Yes, especially Gus and Willow, because they had really mini arcs, and I feel like they definitely needed more time. But I will tell you something that we had plenty of though: romance. This was a very romantic season. For lack of better words, it feels like the romantic subplots were definitely blended into the season. We got Luz and Amity, Ida and Rain, a little bit of Hunter and Willow. Something that I love is that we get more than just moments with these ships, at least for the first two. Half or whole entire episodes were dedicated to these relationships, which I feel like was a very big step for LGBTQ+ relationships in animation geared towards younger audiences. Yet it didn't feel like they stopped the flow of overarching story while they were showing the relationships, and we weren't just watching them go through unnecessary and forced drama either. The stories they go through work because it's based off of what's happening in their lives, like Luz hiding her feelings from Amity, or Amity desperately trying to prove herself to Luz, Ida scared of being close to Rain. All of this drama isn't just coming out of nowhere, and if there is negativity in these relationships, it gets sorted maturely and after one episode. I don't know if this is because Disney was cutting the series short, but Owl House didn't waste our time with dumb, cheesy romance drama, and instead focused on actual compelling coming-of-age relationship issues, which only made these pairings even more likable to me. And can I just say, I love how Ida was given a romantic subplot? Like, I feel like with a lot of television shows aimed towards younger audiences, the adults don't really get a lot of attention, unless it has to do with the plot. Things like romance is really left to the kids. So it was nice that Ida was able to get not only a romantic storyline, but a very compelling and cute one with a lot of focus. Jumping back to when she first met Rain, to seeing how they both care for each other now, while I still think Rain's need to protect Ida is ridiculous, I mean she's the freaking owl lady, magic or no magic, I still find it pretty romantic, not gonna lie. I mean we all do dumb things for the people we love and all that. So focusing on the actual plot, the overarching storyline was very good this season. Once again, I don't know if this format was always the plan or Disney caused the writers to have to be super tight with the writing, but personally, I do like the sense of urgency in this season. With each episode, each character is going through new things, learning new things, and it's like they're absorbing all of that and using that to make new decisions in future episodes. Basically, there's no repetition. And yeah, there wasn't really a lot of repetition in season 1, but we were still learning about the world, so everything felt a lot more standstilly and a lot slower as well, as opposed to this season where we're just moving. The Day of Unity, I'll admit, I was pretty confused at first. I was dead set on believing that Belos was using the people of the Boiling Isles as a battery to fuse both worlds, which is still kinda genocide-y, but I didn't realize until the day after I watched the season 2 finale that he was just wiping them out, magic and all. No plan to get stronger or become King of Earth, no, just murder for murder's sake. Rewatching it, they did mention multiple times that that's what he was doing, but I was always conveniently looking away or said something when the show was trying to remind me. Oh well, I still like the plan. If I had to complain about one thing, it's that I wish that we got to see the extent of the hatred and bigotry Philip had towards witches. Like of course, there was the genocide, but it would have been nice to see little things through conversations that he would have with other witches while he was emperor. Like we know because of the clues that Philip's brother loved a witch and that caused Philip to be so upset that he ended up murdering him. But like I said, those were just clues and they were very in the background. What I hope for in season 3 is a look into Belos' upbringing and just getting to see how far that hatred goes for him. I'm not saying we have to get a sap story like, oh, witches killed my loved ones, so now I hate them. It doesn't have to be that. He could hate witches because they're just different. But right now, the only on-screen showing of that hatred is the genocide plan. And while that's of course pretty big, I would like to see that hatred shown in smaller things, like passing remarks or actions that he would have had with the witches around him. We could get all of that in flashbacks and interactions with the kids from the Isles. I mean, we've only seen him interact with Luz since the Day of Unity, so now that all the masks are off, he can stop pretending to like witches and show how he really feels when he talks to the witch kids. I know we don't have a lot of time, but it's just something that I feel like would help with Belos' character, and it's something that I wish we got more of in this season. Going back to the plot though, I do like the call of action vibe everyone was giving off. Like when Luz found out about the Day of Unity, everyone got into action trying to find a way to stop Belos. I really liked the School/Gus episode too, because one, it went away from our usual characters, and two, it showed this event was affecting not only Luz and Amity and a bunch of them, but the other kids as well. And in the end, when the principal and everyone were standing together, that was just so powerful. I wish we had gotten this sooner though, just so we could see the whole school playing a bigger role in the Day of Unity and the preparations for that day. But I get it, there was a lot to cover already, so adding the whole school into the mix might have been too much. Plus, we had the cats, so it wasn't just our main characters having to do everything again. Speaking of which, Darius, Everwolf, Rain Whispers, and all of our colorful Covenhead friends. Now, I love organization antagonists. There's something organized and threatening about a group of powerful people in nearly identical outfits taking on our heroes. So when I saw all the Covenheads together that first time, I was extremely hyped. Power-wise, I think the show did a good job. It looked like everyone, even our secretly hero Covenheads, earned their spot, which made me really hyped to see them face off against Ida and Luz and such. Unfortunately, this was one of the downsides about Disney cutting this show up. This and the loss of a potential beach episode. We really didn't get much from these Coven heads in this season, and even some of the ones we did get something on, I wish we had more. I'd love to see an episode or a mini arc with each of these guys being the villain, so we could really get to know them. Unfortunately, we didn't get anything until the very last episode, and after everything that happened in the finale, I definitely doubt we'll be seeing them as antagonists in the future. We might see them trying to help, but I strongly feel our chance to see and get to know a lot of these heads as strong, formidable villains is a ship that has sailed. But I will say, this new villain coming up has me hyped. The Collector, a character properly introduced in this season, is definitely a worthy replacement for Belos. This guy is just scary, not only because he's seemingly all-powerful, but because he's seemingly all-powerful and has the mind of a child. Either you're a game to him, or you're boring. And honestly, I don't know which is worse. There's a lot of mystery surrounding this character, and even though he was only properly shown in one episode, the show did a really good job setting him up throughout the whole season. I want to know more about his history with King's family, and I want to see more of what he can do, and I want to see exactly what an owl house looks like to him. On top of that, we have the witch hunters in the real world and Belos who's still alive. So even though the ground has completely been torn open below us, with the boiling isles changing and our villain along with it, it doesn't fill me with fatigue or worry that the show is running out of ideas without our previous main antagonists. In fact, I feel very excited and curious about what's to come. One more small thing I want to mention is the animation. Wow, has it improved since season 1. The magic just looks better to me, more appealing and more fluid, I guess. We don't get as many big action pieces, like season 1 had like 4 or 5, but I feel like while we don't get as many big action pieces, we do get more little action scenes that all look amazing. I mean, just look at this scene with little Ida. It's all kicking off and all the magic's flying around and the movement from her just looks all so good. And that's what I feel like is going on throughout the whole season. By the way, I'm not saying we don't get any long action scenes. I mean, just look at Hunter v Amity. Possibly my favorite fight of the season, just because I love how much Amity has grown using abomination magic. She's not only making people things anymore, she's being really creative with it. And not just Amity, everyone's improved and gotten stronger. I mentioned Willow, her action scenes looked great in season 1, but season 2 they just kept adding to it, it hasn't gone down. Gus too has some pretty good looking action scenes as well. I mean, the fact that he has this new power of basically genjutsu is just really cool. And once again, looks really nice. I also think he knows a thing or two about Philip and Caleb because of that power. Luce with her combos, I mean, that all looked really good. Her glyph magic has been looking more and more intense and powerful. Not to mention, once again, the animation with it just looks good with the combos. I really like that they came up with that idea. By the way, I like how a bunch of people around her picked up on glyph use after watching her do it. That's a nice and organic touch to the character. The combo attacks, the teamwork, it's all so good. So overall, season 2 felt like an upgrade to season 1, which is good. It's how it should be. There are some little things that I wish they had included, like the things I mentioned with Belos and the things that had to be cut for time, but there's really nothing they could have done about that. It's a shame, but you know the creators really did make the best out of a bad situation. Like I said, the storytelling felt very tight, and even though they didn't show everything, the core cast of characters got amazing and detailed development, and even characters like Willow and Gus, while I would have liked more, they were able to spread out their development enough to give them a strong enough presence. Also, it was really cool seeing them grow and develop, even if it was shown a little bit and through the small actions like Willow being captain or training on her own, or Gus using glyphs because Luce introduced them to him. The world still made sense and nothing felt weird or forced or completely out of nowhere despite all the cuts. I'm really hyped for season 3, or specials, or whatever they're called. I want to know more about the Collector. I'm dying to know what he did to the Boiling Isles. I want to see Ida, King, Rain, Hootie, Lilith, all of them again. And I really want to know how the kids are doing on Earth. I mean, that ending really showed that these kids are not alright. Side note, if you guys are dying for more Owl House content, I highly recommend this Twitter page. Mark has been making these short comics. Some are set in the future, some are set in the Boiling Isles. My favorite is when he shows the kids just adjusting and living on Earth, doing slice of life kid stuff. Sometimes he even gets deep and covers the kid's mental state, which, I mean, I already went over how much I love the Angst. It's really good and honestly looks and feels very official. So that's basically it for my review. I mean, this season has just been really great. I loved watching them, and at the end of each episode, like, I was just like, I want more, and it's a good thing that I was really behind because I only had to wait for one episode, which was the finale. But yeah, all the characters were just a lot of fun. I feel like this world has developed so much that, like, you just want to see characters interact with each other, and you want to see more of the world and more of the villains. And yeah, there were some like ups and downs with, but all that had to do with like timing, which I can understand they didn't really have much of. But yeah, I mean, the romance I think was done very well. I think I would have sacrificed the villains for that romance, because it really is just about the characters developing and learning, because it is, in my opinion, like, you know, a coming of age story. So all that stuff matters. I'm excited for season 3 or the specials or whatever, because like, oh god, how are they gonna end it satisfying? Like, I'm guessing each special maybe will be dealing with like a one villain. Like in the first one we'll be dealing with Belos, the next one we'll be dealing with somebody else, and then the next one we'll be dealing with the Collector. I don't know, but I'm really excited. This series, it's gonna suck that when it's over, you know, because it's like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, man. This series can go on for like another 3-4 years. Come on. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed making this review, despite how late it was. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I mean, I'll see you guys next time for hopefully the reactions. You'll stick around for that. And of course, if you guys haven't seen my other reactions, I have season 1 and season 2 up in my channel, so check that out. Tell me what you guys thought about. Please tell me what you guys thought about my review. Like, you know, if you want to be critical, be critical. Am I mumbling too much? Am I talking too low? Am I not making enough good points? Am I making too many bad points? As long as you're respectful, as long as you're nice, I don't mind the criticism. So tell me all that stuff down in the comment section down below. Tell me what you guys thought about the series so far, and how hyped are you guys for season 3 if it hasn't already come out yet. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Until then, bye.